Here's a segment from the latest edition of St. Charles Parish Today, a monthly local talk show.
Summer is upon us, and with that we can expect frequent rainfall and, according to the National Weather Center, an active hurricane season. Last year, southeast Louisiana had several rain events and tropical threats, and if there's one phrase that stands out from it all, it would be our pump stations are at blank capacity. It was a recurring topic in local news and amongst residents of all of our surrounding parishes. But for as much media coverage as it got, few people seem to accurately explain how a pump station can be at 100% capacity if there's a broken or missing pump. And just how does the parish maintain this infrastructure? Here with me today to break it all down is our Public Works Director, Snooki Fauché. All right, Snooki, well, thanks for coming on the show with me. This is your first time, so this is exciting. Traditionally, I will sit here and interview somebody about a topic, and today we want to talk about pump stations, but I figured since it's not the most interesting topic, we're going to play a game.
Oh, okay.
I know you're shocked. Okay, this game is called Rumor Has It. So I'm going to read a list of rumors, and each time I read one, I want you to hold up this high budget sign here. You can see here rumor, truth, and let the public know if this is a rumor or if it's truth, and then just expand upon it. All these things are actually comments that we have received in the past via phone, Facebook, or email. So the first
Real life is better than fiction.
So the first statement. Public Works forgets to turn the pumps on when it rains. Is this a rumor or is it truth?
It's definitely a rumor. Public Works doesn't have to turn the pumps on. All of our pumps are on float switch that are synced through the pump station. We have one that kicks on at a certain level and it runs so we don't create short cycles which can damage the pumps. So it runs until the water depth gets to a certain level in the pump, then the next pump will kick on and on down the line, depending on the number of pumps that are there. And we look at a lot of things when this happens in order to set that up. It's the inflow, it's the hydraulics, but most importantly, we look at cycle time so that we don't overwork and then in turn overheat the pumps.
Okay, next one. Public Works doesn't check the weather forecast and has no plan ahead of heavy rain. I've gotten this question before, I know it. It sounds crazy.
Let's see. Rumor. We monitor all of the forecasts as well as get consistent feedback from the National Weather Service through Emergency Operations Center. They're in contact with myself, Assistant Public Works Director Bob Williams, the on-call people if it's after hours. If we are expecting a significant rainfall, that's defined by the Weather Service reports, we'll have pre-meetings where we'll develop strategies. Which pump stations do we need to pump down? What's the condition of the pump stations? We'll actually start a protocol where we will, on certain days, we actually go out and run pump stations, and we do that twice a week. But if it's coming towards the weekend and we're expecting a significant rainfall over the weekend, and then what we'll do is the day before we'll go out there, inspect sumps, we'll run equipment, we'll look at oil levels, just a whole list of items that we do on a regular basis, but it's repeated right before the storm because you never know what can happen.
Yeah. Okay, so this is one that was a big thing in the media, I think, in the past year, not specifically in St. Charles Parish, but in the region. A pump station can be at 100% capacity even though there is a broken pump. Is this a rumor or is it true?
I'm going to divide that.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. It is true. The pump station can be at 100% capacity even though we have a pump that's out of service. You have two scenarios that can happen in. One scenario is many of our pump stations, especially those that were either redesigned or newly built, since around 2000 actually has an additional pump already in the system, so that if one fails, yes. So if one fails, we don't have to replace it in order to be at 100% of the hydraulics capacity of that station from the drainage study. So on the other side of that, our older pump stations, if we lose a pump, we're not at 100% capacity. But we have 6 36-inch and 30-inch hydraulic pumps that are portable, and we take those pumps and we put those in places where we have failed pumping systems. So we do not let any of our stations get much below 100%, and I'll explain that. We have one station that does not have adequate space around it to put multiple of these 30 and 36-inch pumps. But we know when we have a failed pump, if we put one of our large 36-inch hydraulic pumps, we are almost at 99%. So that station would never see 100%, but I mean, for practical purposes, we're not deficient there either.
Right. So this is one that we tell the public a lot. Cleaning your ditch has an impact on drainage.
That is absolutely the truth.
A lot of people don't think it does.
I know. Cleaning your ditch, taking debris off of the side of the road next to your catch basin, raking your grass clippings or leaves out of your yard. I mean, all of those things
are all factors.
Are all factors and has impact. Actually, cleaning of the ditches reduces friction. It reduces obstructions, friction. The smoother the surface, the more open area you have. The transportation of the water is just more fluid. It's easier. That's kind of like the debate between culverts and ditches. And if you use the coefficient of friction, then if your culvert is sized correctly, then it actually can move more water than a ditch of the same size that has tall grass, debris, or
things that are obstructing the flow of water.
And we do have some residents, and I'm going to put a public announcement out there, who put their grass clippings and their leaves and trim their trees and their branches, and they put it in the ditch.
Yeah.
Or blow it into the subsurface drain so that their yard and their driveway and the street in front of their house looks good. All of those factors are tremendous contributors to flooding in our area.
If water never gets to a pump station, then it's not going to get pumped.
And another, I guess, point to make here is that usually if we haven't had a significant rainfall, that's like a couple of inch rainfall over a period of time, say 30 days, then we know that next rainfall we need to be really conscious of obstructions, because the leaves, the debris, just the natural occurrence of the environment filling in the ditch, we know that they're not clean. They haven't been flushed. The real neat thing about having a couple of inch rain and then you get another one a week later is the fact that we know the system has been flushed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. The next one, and I think you touched on this in one of your other answers, but I'll say it anyway. Employees have to be on site to run a pump station. Okay.
Again, we use telemetry system. All of our large pump stations are presently on telemetry system.
And that just means remote control.
Remote control, that's what I say. It's telemetry is pretty much exactly like the plant operators use to monitor process in the local industry. It's remote. You look at levels. All of our pump stations that are on telemetry have rain gauges. We know the exact amount of rain that's fallen in the area. Like the last event that we had last Saturday 2 weeks ago. I was on a telemetry system and at EOC, and I was able to say, okay, we're getting this amount of rainfall in Bayou Gauche, and we're getting this amount of rainfall in Des Allemands. Hey, look, it's moving across. And actually, it had set up 2 lines, one between, or should I say, laterally between Muntz and Des Allemands, and St. Rose and Ama. And we literally were receiving about 3 to 3.5 inches of rain in that first hour on those 2 lines, and only about 1.5 inches in the center of the parish through Luling and Destrehan. So, during these type of systems, the people on telemetry are really effective in identifying where the rain is falling and where we need the most help.
So you're telling me it doesn't rain equally on the whole parish?
What?
Okay.
I had a resident who
it's not a statement.
I had a resident who sent me, remember? I had a resident who sent me, said the National Weather Service said we received between 1 and 2 inches of rain. We had 4 inches of rain in Ama and St. Rose in less than 45 minutes.
Yep.
So yeah, we spot look at it. We don't collectively analyze and just kind of lump it together and say, oh, well, parish only received 2 inches of rain.
Essentially like 3 or 4, right? I don't know. Okay, so next statement. Pump state, and you kind of touched on this too in your answer. Pump stations are being monitored 24 hours a day.
That is absolutely true.
Okay.
And it's true because we have telemetry set up at numerous places around the parish.
So not just at Public Works?
Not just at Public Works. EOC. EOC is our main partner in monitoring the telemetry system. If we get alarms, even if it's not raining, if we get alarms during the night of a disconnect, a pump that maybe started and it's not showing that it's shut off, or a pump that started with no water in the sump. Those things happen because it's electrical systems, and electrical systems fail. And because they do, we have these alarms that go off in EOC, and they will monitor the on-duty person, and they will make a decision whether we need to call out pump mechanics or electricians or both. This year, we've actually updated our software system for telemetry, and it's now on the cell phones.
I didn't know this.
The on-call personnel. So of our supervisors for Public Works, Mr. Chris Tregg, who's my superintendent of drainage, Terry Bro, who is my automation engineer, those guys actually have telemetry on their cell phones. We don't have the ability due to licensing to put that out for everybody, but we've purchased some licensings to that software. And we do have select people in Public Works who not only can monitor 24 hours a day in St. Charles Parish, but wherever they're at.
And real quick on the subject of telemetry, because we had done a video on it last year. A lot of that was built in-house, correct? The
Almost all of it.
systems, yeah. And that was Public Works employees that built this.
Yes, we pointed that out, and y'all did.
And it's not a very big team. It's just a few people. Yeah.
It's not. It's not. Terry Bro heads that up. We have a small group of electricians that are there, and it's kind of a learning process because there's no real cutout of this somewhere else that you can follow. There are companies that will come in and do the installation and monitor it for you and all of that. But Terry Bro, and also on the wastewater side, Butch Clay has also taken it upon themselves to go out there, get this technology. We have many of our large lift stations in wastewater that are also on telemetry. So we monitor those also. You know, it's technology is where we need to go.
Yeah.
It takes care of the gaps between, I guess, personal limits.
Yeah. Okay, so back to my last statement.
Yes.
The parish does not invest in drainage.
That's absolutely. I'm trying to get it right up there.
This is a constant thing for you guys.
It's constant.
It's probably one of your biggest, outside of road maintenance, ongoing
endeavors.
endeavors.
I get invited to give updates and give some comparative analysis on where St. Charles Parish is versus other parishes. And when our neighboring parish pump systems failed,
Yeah.
the Louisiana state auditors stepped in,
Yeah.
and we received probably 300 or 400 questions for information from them initially. It's still ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from how many pumps we have, what are the capacities, the sizes, how many people we have, is overtime included, how many people are dedicated to pumps. I mean, the list just goes on. What are your procedures? How does civil service manual address, your pump mechanics? I mean, everything that you can think of. And, when we tell people that St. Charles Parish has 52 pump stations and 166 pumps from 12-inch to 72-inch, it's like an epiphany. It's an awakening. I mean, I don't think anyone realizes the investment that we have in our pumping systems here in St. Charles Parish, or the investment that it takes to manage them.
Effectively. So effectively manage them.
And that will continue to grow as we continue to put online the hurricane protection levee pumping systems.
Yeah.
Not only are those a tremendous investment to build, but that is a tremendous investment to maintain.
Okay, so done with the game.
All right.
There's one other big thing I want to address on here, and that is...
Do I look fat on TV?
All right, so just a few months ago, Gulf South Pipeline Company, they donated $2 million in drainage to the Muntz area, just specifically for drainage in Muntz. And it's been a topic of discussion ever since, because a lot of people are real excited
Contention.
about... discussion.
Contention.
A lot of people are really excited, and I'm using that word, excited, for what's going to come. And I know that not everything has been laid out, but can you give us any update on that? Where the funding's going to go?
Well, you asked me about that, and we did provide that to the Herald Guide.
Yes.
But there's so many moving parts there. Muntz drainage. We start with the Kool-Aid, of course. We've been maintaining the Kool-Aid. It's been a difficult process. Some property owners would like it to be maintained. Some do not want it maintained. So we are working that issue by procuring the footprint of the Kool-Aid and enough property to make a maintenance road down the side of the Kool-Aid. We have about $751,000 that we've already spent just on the Kool-Aid, the purchasing of the property, the legal fees, all of those things, because we have gone through expropriation on a few of the pieces of property. Most of those that we've had to go to are because family members or owners that did exist, no one knows where they are, can't get in touch with them. But for the most part, the residents who live along there are very much in favor of us having ownership of this property and the drainage. So right now we have about 986, 87,000 that's already been authorized expenditures towards that project and other drainage issues that we've been addressing in months.
That's not part of the $2 million.
That's how it's going there.
Okay, I just want.
None of this is part of the $2 million.
This is just normal
Yes, that money is strictly dedicated to the footprint of the coulee. Our normal drainage projects that we've been doing is still part of our regular public works budget. We procured part of the coulee from Country Cottage to Thoroughbred, and we went in there and cleaned that canal and changed out some of the culverts. Some culverts we didn't change, but they needed to be reset, so we reset those.
You mean like in terms of elevation?
Elevation,
Okay, yeah.
yes. There's a couple of areas that we had to put sheet pile shoring in because of erosion at the entrance of those channels. So all of that comes out of our normal public works budget. So the $2 million in months is dedicated just to new projects that find permanent solutions. We had started working with Gulf South. Entergy stepped in to help manage that and became a participating partner because they have a tremendous investment in the Muntz community and all of St. Charles Parish. So Entergy offered to do a drainage study for Muntz. We gave them as much feedback as we could as to our current situation and what we thought the problems were and the solutions that we're looking at. They confirmed most of the issues which are known.
Right.
They did surface a few which we did not think about, and utilizing some of the infrastructure that's our natural infrastructure that's already in place. So one of the easiest and quickest solutions was just to build a part of the coulee that would replace a section of the coulee that makes about 6 90-degree turns through a specific area. Just building a straight shot down Entergy's right-of-way from the Canadian National Railroad track to Airline Highway would tremendously benefit us. So we actually looked at it. Our internal engineer, Don Edwards, gave us some drawings, spent some time. We got an agreement with Entergy to start. One of our construction managers slash QA, Chris Dufour, put in the dotting. And when it came back, we knew that there were a series of pipelines that went through the property. One of them is very near the surface. Some of these pipelines were directionally bored. So where you have present drainage, canals, that kind of stuff in place, they go down underneath those and then they come back up to the surface or near the surface because there's less obstruction. They don't get into the heavy, dense soils that have been compacted and compressed. So they come back up. Well, one of the pipes, the pipelines that we were looking at, the pipeline is only, I want to say 6 feet, about 72 inches from the surface. Mm-hmm. And they require 48 inches from the surface. And they require 42 inches of cover. So we would have been digging that canal for 6 inches, which didn't make any sense. Mm. So we're looking at some creative solutions on how to work within these pipeline systems. And maybe direct and funnel water, under them if we can give some confidence to these pipelines that will protect the integrity. So the fix is just not as simple as like building a aqueduct like the gooseneck in your bathroom that drains because we have to protect the stability of the pipelines below us and above us. Mm. So we are looking at some solutions there to possibly utilize that. The Parish Line Canal through Muntz gets to the CN Railroad track, makes a 90-degree turn, and comes to Evangeline. Part of it crosses under Evangeline, and part of it goes through a couple of jack and bores close to the end of close to Evangeline. If we could get a trestle or a new series of jack and bores right at the Parish Line Canal so that it would go straight, which we had identified we probably needed to do. On the other side of that is 2 large ponds. Those ponds actually collect a lot of water from St. John, and which is one of the major contributors to water crossing the Evangeline. So the engineering company said if we could get jack and bores there and we could utilize those 2 ponds and get new jack and bores across Airline Highway, that way that water never actually would get to the pump station until it crossed on the north side of Airline Highway. So, you know, there's a lot of creative ideas.
It's just kind of vetting those and figuring out which is feasible.
They're all feasible. The question is, what's in our scope of ability to get it done versus having to engineer these projects, go out for bids, bid construction projects out of them, and to come back and get this done, which is going to take a significant period of time by the time we get that done. We did look at outside of that. We've looked at the entire system-wide between us and St. John, and looking at the hurricane protection footprint and how we could maybe do something to push that project along. We can't build a levee to the 7.5 feet for protection that we're working towards right now. But there are some high ridges in the Place, and one of the closest that we have a lot of confidence in is the footprint of Highway 51.
Okay.
So we got together and we've been having a series of meetings with St. John, and we're looking at starting the levee footprint and maybe build a small berm type levee up to 5.5 to 6 foot from the west guide levee all the way to 51. That would protect backflow, and it would give us the ability at the 2 trestles, one in St. Charles and one in St. John, to put pump stations there and move the water out, help control that retention area between Airline Highway and the CN Railroad track at the lake. So there's a lot of energy going towards specifically months in order to try to find some of these solutions. Yeah. But until we do, we're most of all of them, well, all of the money we've spent is actually from our budget that's already there, and none of it is the $2 million. The entire full $2 million is still in a trust fund in the finance department dedicated to months drainage only.
So, and you guys are working on to find the best things to do with that money.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, Tracy Fletcher has been leading that fight.
Yeah.
Before we ever make a decision to spend any of that money, she wants to be real transparent with that, as well as Parish President Larry Cochran.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I believe if we develop any projects out of this that we have intentions of using some of this money, we'll probably hold a town hall meeting, or at least
do a video, or
do a video,
release.
meet with
Yeah,
you, yes,
we'll be definitely
and get that information out there, because it's important that we're prudent with that money.
Yep.
Not only for the residents, but industry.
Yeah.
On the other side of that coin, you know, them giving us this money. If we would need to go back to them in the future, we need to show how we were prudent with this money.
It's almost like a grant, you know.
Yes,
just
absolutely.
like kind of like that.
Yes.
Well, look, I want to thank you for coming on and addressing that, because I know it's been a big topic, but and also addressing all of the other questions. We get them a lot, and we're going to replay this every time we get into a rainstorm, because it really might help some people understand the way things kind of operate here. But
you know, Public Works. We work to be prepared. We prepare for the worst and expect the best. So, you know, we're just going to continue to move forward with that strategy.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on today, Snooki.
All right, thank you, sir.
Look for the entire episode at www.scptoday.com or on SCP TV.